Hey guys, welcome back to my page. So I'm finally getting around to this video. Like it seems like everybody want to hold me up today. So I had to go meet with my freaking landlord, pay my freaking rent. I don't even want to see how much I just gave my landlord. It is crazy, y'all. Let's just say like $3,000. But okay, I don't even want to think about it anymore. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video is about a topic that I wanted to come to you guys earlier and talk about, especially like being that we are like already in what day it is. Like today is what, February, today's like February 9th. No, what, February 10th, right? Yeah, because 50 Shades Free comes out on Valentine's Day. Who's excited? I'm so excited. I can't wait, you guys. Wait a minute. Do I have the dates correct? No, I don't. Today is February. Why say February 10th? Today is February the 7th, I think. And I wanted to do this video like February 1st, you know, the first day of Black History, just to put it out there. But I'm finally getting around to doing it now. So and I'm a little tired because, of course, I worked today. I had my internship, so I was working with clients, you know. You guys know that I'm a second year PhD student in clinical psychology, so I stay pretty busy. But I'm going to make time to do this video, and I'm trying to do it kind of really fast because after this, I will be headed to go see 50 Shades Freed. And I'm so excited, you guys. It's an advanced screening, so I'm going to see it before anybody else goes to see it. It doesn't come out until next week, February 14th, Valentine's Day. So, all right, so here we go. I decided to do this video because I saw at my school where they are quote unquote celebrating Black History Month by showing the movie Get Out. And for you guys who don't know about the movie Get Out, it came out last year. I did a movie review on it, so you guys can go back and check that out. But it's a movie that I feel has a lot of racial undertones to it. Everybody knows, like, there were some subliminal messages, but a lot of the messages in the movie were pretty much in plain sight. You know, they weren't really hidden. They were just like in your face, you know. There were billboards, you know, especially all out through like Hollywood saying, you know, get out. This is a movie that reflects, this, you know, our culture that we live in. This is the movie that reflects the times that we live in. I'm like, what? They're like, this is the movie. And so on one hand, one can say, okay, you know, it's an interesting movie. You know, talks about interracial dating and relationships and what can happen as a result of that. But for people, the advertisers, to like promote the movie as like, oh, this is like the epitome of our culture, you know, where we're at in our society right now. I'm just like, what? You know, that ain't some racist shit. But and then we have my school that decides to want to promote Black history, right, by showing a screening of this movie, by having a screening of this movie. And I'm just like, are you freaking serious, dude? I actually took offense. I got the invitation in my email. It's like, come out, you know, we're having the screening of the movie Get Out to celebrate Black History Month, in honor of Black History Month, right? And some people are like, oh, that's cool. It's a free screening. I want to go check it out. I'm like, no. I take offense to that for several reasons, and that's the reason why I create this video, because I'm like, out of all the ways that we can celebrate our history as African Americans, people choose to still focus on the negative aspects of our history, like slavery and all of this freaking racial oppression and all of these things that we've gone through, these incidences with the police and, you know, people getting killed unjustly. Like, that's not necessarily what I want to focus on to celebrate my history, you know, as African American. That's just not. Now, while I do feel those things are important to remember, we should never forget, you know, that part of our history. But I'm like, after so many years of seeing that, and I feel like every year it's the same thing. You know, even growing up in school, the main focus was Martin Luther King and what he did with the civil rights movement, which is spectacular. It's great. But I'm like, what about the positive aspects of our history? So I titled this video, Why We Shouldn't Celebrate Black History, because I honestly think that we shouldn't, especially in the way that we have been celebrating it. You know, I feel like the focus is always on the downside of our history. It's always on the negative aspects of our history. You guys feel free to chime in as you guys are watching this. But this is just my perspective. I do feel very strongly about it. And I've noticed, like, even on social media, it seems as though people aren't really focusing on the negative aspects, not African Americans anyway. And I think that's a great thing. I love that people make a conscious attempt to focus on the positive parts of our history, because there are a lot of different things that happen in our history. We made a lot of contributions, to American history, even within our own African American history that I think are worth mentioning, but the negative aspects just always seem to come to the forefront. And I'm not really going to address like what parts of our history that we should celebrate. I mean, obviously the positive parts. You guys can feel free to chime in and drop different examples below of different events in our history, different people, figures that you feel that are important, that we should, know about. We should, rehearse in our minds every year or every Black History Month. But that's not necessarily what this video is about. I kind of want to talk about the reason why I think we should not focus on the negative, because I feel like it is damaging psychologically. And then we wonder like why African Americans are very hypervigilant and they're kind of like on edge and very irritable and just all these negative things, angry and the whole gamut, right? And I feel like, African Americans, this freaking big ass leaf just fell. Cute, guys. But I feel like African Americans, yes, we've gone through a lot, we've experienced a lot, but I think no one really takes the time to really pay attention to and focus on the negative toll, the negative impact that zeroing in on the negative aspects of our history, African American history, can have on one's psychological well-being and emotional well-being. If we're constantly being bombarded with these sad, gruesome, depressing images of African Americans in history being in shackles and being beaten by the police and all of these just terrible events that have happened to us, that we are constantly being brainwashed and being like submerged into these negative images are constantly being bombarded at our minds. What do you think kind of impact is going to have? I feel like, me being a person, I study psychology. That's just my focus. My focus is on researching Black identity, African American identity, and implicit racial bias. And just in my experience and just studying African identity, right, and looking at the various aspects that play a role in shaping one's identity, I feel like, who we are as a people is been so much determined by the negative, like when we think about what it means to be Black, what it means to be African American, I feel like a lot of times people don't even want to identify themselves as African American, because of the association that most people make with slavery, right? And they're like, I don't want to be African, American, because number one, I don't know if I'm from Africa. I don't know if my ancestors, are from Africa. And then you have people like, I was born in America, so why do I have to associate myself with Africa? And then you have people like, I feel the more subconscious reason why people choose not to identify themselves as African American is simply because it has negative connotations, and thanks to Black History Month, where it's like a ritual where we do every year, 28 days. It's like a 28-day ritual. We focus a lot of times and we're bombarded with all these freaking slave movies, and all these negative things that have happened that speak to, yes, it speaks to our strength as African Americans. It speaks to our resilience, but at the same time, I feel like it doesn't empower. We can be empowered in other ways as opposed to having to be reminded of, okay, this was once us, and not only that, but this is kind of still us, supposedly being oppressed and being at the bottom. And I feel like the whole narrative is psychologically damaging. and it's holding us back as African Americans when we keep saying, first of all, the words that we use, right, in terms of identifying ourselves as minorities and being that saying we're oppressed, yes, while that may be true, I feel like the way we talk about social issues, just even the language that we use can be even more traumatizing, be re-traumatizing. We already know there's this thing called post-traumatic slavery disorder, where we notice some residual effects, psychological, emotional, social, political effects from slavery, that have resulted from slavery. And with that, I feel like when we are exposed to the memories of what has happened, to African Americans, a lot of times it's mostly negative things. No one talks about the inventions that have that African Americans have made. Ossie says those contributions made by African Americans should be brought into light. Most people don't even know about them. That's what I'm inviting you guys to feel free to share them below. But we know, like, we have a lot of Black inventors. We have a lot of, African doctors, lawyers, people who are very successful, who have gone on to do great things, in American history. And it just it gets pushed under the rug. And I feel like if we're going to celebrate Black history, we're going to celebrate African history, then, let's do away. We already know the downside to it, right? We already know the things that we went through, and in case people may need a history lesson, then of course we can always give history lesson can always be given on those things. But I think we had enough of that. I feel like, if anything, we need to take a turn. There needs to be a revolution or a renaissance within the African American community, where we make a conscious attempt to focus on our great positive contributions that have been made. If we want to celebrate anything, we should celebrate our culture. This reminds me of my visit to the National African American Museum in DC. Now, wow, the design of it is great. I love it. You can tell they put a lot of money into building that place. I just feel like the content there, it's just regurgitated stuff that we've been taught all these many years, about the whole transatlantic slave trade. And I feel like, yes, it's important, yes, it's important that we not forget, how we got to this point, but there's other things to focus on. And I feel like there has to be a negative effect, psychologically, that is happening within African Americans. And I see it, I can definitely see it. And not just, I'm not speaking third person, but I'm speaking subjectively about my own experience as African American. Like, I feel like the more exposure that we have to these gross images of what we've gone through, and not only that, but the whole narrative of what is happening still today, and how people keep repeating this thing, like, oh, Black African Americans, referring to them as the minority group, they're poor Black people, and they're oppressed, and just all of these freaking terms that they tend to associate with African Americans. I'm like, I feel like, on one hand, people who favor white supremacy, and people who don't necessarily want to see African Americans rise, including African Americans themselves, they have become so accustomed to those terms. They embrace them, they rely on them, and they don't. I feel like, to move away from that kind of language, they will try to make an argument against that. And this is my thing. I feel like we can definitely benefit much more if we all just say, you know what, we're going to have a revolution. We're going to make positive associations with the term African American. We're going to make a conscious attempt to put out documentaries that reflect positive aspects of our culture. There's so many different great things that are going on in the Black community, but you don't really get to hear about them. And with that being said, because I have to go ahead and get ready, because I have to go see my movie 50 Shades Freed. But with that being said, like, that's the reason why I decided to center my research on Black identity. And I'm not getting ready to launch a website and organization that is going to basically be a complement to my research. I can't wait to share it with you guys. And the whole focus is to promote positive images, positive perspectives on the African American community. Because it's just not enough of that. There's so much of garbage that we see in the media. And while, yes, people can say, oh, it's entertainment, but I feel like, no, we're so exploited as a people, and I feel like not only is it important that we see positive images, it's important that the world sees positive images and associate other things, to being Black than, oh, they were slaves or they're descendants of slaves. To me, that whole narrative is so freaking old, and I'm just tired of it. And I remember, I think 2017, I think was a year where we had so many freaking slave movies, movies that depicted African Americans as weak, and just oppressed and the minority group. And I'm just like, come on. I feel like it serves a purpose, especially people in Hollywood and, people who have power and money and white supremacists. I feel like they do this shit on purpose because they want to keep the freaking narrative going. They want to keep this thing going. That's the only way you can keep it going, is to keep putting out these negative images when we're in 2018. So you would think things would change, right? Who and how society saw us back then in the 1800s, 1700s is not how we should be reverenced today, if anything, and I take offense to that. Like, it bothers me, and when you have organizations say, oh, we want to be culturally diverse, we appreciate cultural diversity, right? And their idea of that is showing a fucking slave movie. You're celebrating African history by showing a slave movie. Like, how is that? Or showing a movie that is telling Black people to get out subliminally. Like, what the hell is that? No one questions it though. Like, I have a huge problem with it. And I'm like, I'm not going to no freaking screen to get out. First of all, I already saw it, but especially not to in reverence of celebrating, African American history. That's no way you celebrate African American history. Now, that's all that we have to celebrate. That is freaking pretty sad, if you ask me. Like, there's so many great things about our culture. We're such a very diverse group of people. Beautiful. We bring love. We have music. We have dance. We have freaking fashion. We have the arts. We have so many different things that we do very well. That's what we should celebrate, But no one wants to talk about that. There should be community programs specifically designed to promote positive things within the African American community. No one wants to talk about that. To me, that really frustrates me. So that's where my role comes in. And that's what I'm going to be dedicated to from this day forward. I've already started developing the website. I've already started, working on my organization and putting things together, because this is really important. Like, this is something that I feel really needs a lot of time and money invested in. We invest a lot of time and money towards anything else, but when it comes to our own health and our own wellness and our identity, it's like that gets put on the back burner. We have to fight, because I feel like what we're going through is not just history. This is what we're going through in the present. People like to say, oh, that was in the past. And it's like, no, it's still the present, because they keep reiterating it. They keep bringing it up, and they keep, to bring it up and to keep flushing us and flooding us with all of these images in the media, whether it's through freaking movies, photos on social media. Like, all that does is set us back, I feel like. It has to be more. It has to be more that we seen. I hope I didn't cover up the mic, but a lot of us like grew up being bombarded. That's like all we learned in freaking history. When it came to African American history, is slavery. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to our history than that. Thanks to the documentary Hidden Colors, produced by Tariq Nasheed, like he has taken an attempt to put out more positive images of Africans and African Americans, but that's just only one person. I feel we need more people, more organizations. That's the reason why I'm getting ready to launch my organization. I can't wait to share it with you guys. But to me, we just got to come together, you guys, and we really have to dedicate ourselves, our lives. I'm dedicating my profession, my professional life, even my personal life to this mission because I feel like it's so important. So that's what I wanted to say, you guys. I thank you guys for tuning in. I do have to go get ready, but I could go on and on and on for days. But like I said, I'm a little bit tired. I'm getting ready to go check out this movie, which I will be coming to you guys with a review pretty soon. So I hope it's a good movie. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on it so far. It doesn't come out, so you guys probably won't get a chance to see it until next week. But I'll be seeing it tonight, so I'm so excited. Please share this video with all of your friends because I feel like this message is so important. And I feel like, yes, we talk about it, but we gotta be about it, you guys. I don't want to see no freaking negative history about African Americans. Chances are 9 times out of 10, I'm all freaking tongue tied, but 9 times out of 10, I've already seen it anyway. At this age in my life, it's like, come on, we learned all that shit through freaking school. Can we see some positive images? I don't want to see no more freaking negative shit about black people and what we had to go through and what we still going through. It's freaking bogus to me, and I feel like a lot of times this shit is done on purpose. We're being flooded with these negative images. Just imagine, like if just imagine the impact exposure to a certain stimulus can have over an extended period of time. If you're always constantly being exposed to this, and I feel like in our culture, in our society, like that's all they want to talk about. When we see blacks on TV, a lot of times it's drama, it's ratchetness, some ghetto shit is negative. You hear what I'm saying? And if it's not that, it's freaking stuff about our so-called history. And it's like, come on, our history is much bigger. I feel like that is a very small portion of our history. But let's talk about the positive aspects of our history. Let's make a conscious attempt and effort to talk about the positive aspects because I feel like it is taking a toll on us psychologically, emotionally, and even in our relationships, in our interpersonal relationships. Like, we wonder why there's so much conflict between men and women. You get what I'm saying? Like, all of this matters. All of this is taken into account, because we're dealing with, not only are we dealing with the memories of what we've been exposed to regarding white people and black people relations, but we're constantly being reminded of this, with the media, what we see in the media, and this negative shit about black people, And it was like, no wonder people say, oh, why we can't move on. It's no wonder because look what's being put out there. And you got black people walking around here looking at white people as the enemy or all white people as the enemy. It's like, freaking no wonder. Shit, no wonder why black people, some anyway, not all, but some seriously do look at all white people as the enemy. Because if that's all they see in the media, just negative shit and these negative treatment, bad treatment of African Americans by white Americans, then what the hell do you expect? So that's all I want to say on this topic, at least for now anyway. I gotta go, but thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you share this video and go subscribe to my YouTube channel at Author D Leach, Danny's World. So I'll check you guys out later. Bye.